Hello and welcome to round number 10 of Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large in 2022, the 70th ever Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large, sponsored by World Class Lines and organised, of course, by Race Green Events. You're watching Sim Broadcasts. I'm Peter Butcher, and joining me in the commentary box tonight is the full complement. It's Eoin, Harmon and Miika Sarkinen. Welcome along, gents. Eoin, first of all, how are you?
I'm doing well, Pete. Thanks for asking.
Good stuff. Miika, how are you?
Good evening. I'm doing okay.
Good, and the drivers, well, they haven't turned out in quite the numbers we expected for such a great combo. The LX4 at Fern black reversed, but nonetheless, we're going to have around about 20 cars competing for the Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large honours tonight. Let's get on with the administrative part of our broadcast, obviously bringing you up to speed with what's going on in the championship and the series, starting with the calendar. 2 rounds to go after tonight for the 2022 season. Just 2 rounds to go, one in November and December, of course. It's been a long road to get here, but we are already, I can't believe I'm saying this, gents, 3 races from the end of the year. Unbelievable. Feels like January was only a couple of races ago. I'm sure you will agree. But over to our combo for tonight. 27 laps, 177 kilometres with a 10-second mandatory pit stop around this 31 corner, there or thereabouts, beast of a track. 6.6 kilometres, 4.1 miles. Fern black in either of its configurations are absolutely brilliant. I think you'll agree, Eoin and Miika. What do you make of this track?
Yeah, it's got all the challenges you expect from such a daunting circuit. The variety of chicanes, straights, and definitely a few hairpins and very speedy curves as well. They'll be all testing our drivers tonight and seeing who really is the best of the best.
Yeah, Miika, before you went on air, you said some of the drivers don't particularly like the challenge of this track. But why is that? I mean, it's certainly challenging, but you know, what's maybe not so good about this track that people don't normally, enjoy as much?
I guess it's more like the car. I have a feeling that the car is quite unpopular to drive because it can be quite a handful to drive, especially with those curves on this track. And the length of the circuit it's quite a long track. We have only 27 laps on this Excel race, so it's a tricky one.
So it's not the track, which is a benefit. So what is it? Well, let's have a look at the car for tonight. A slightly popular / unpopular choice, I suppose. But I personally love this car, and I definitely love it at Fern Bay. So I don't know what everyone is doing. I mean, jump on the server. We'll have a big race. But 21 cars currently setting times in qualifying with the LX4, a 1.3 litre inline-4 front-engine Caterham-styled rear-wheel drive car, half a ton and 140 brake horsepower. So not too much power, not as much as the LX6. It's bigger sister, but yeah, it's still a very, very fun car. It's a lot of fun around the curbs and the twisty corners of Fern Bay. But yeah, that's enough said. Let's go to the track, Eoin, and have a look at the qualifying action.
Yeah, the space I think the drivers have to themselves, it's very helpful to make sure they can set representative times. We can see various cars leaving pit lane as they know this could be the last burst if they want to do 2 laps back to back. But the hot lappers who just want 1 fuel lap plus the out lap in the tank, they'll be hanging on probably another minute or so. Jari Katila here, right, and sort of the bottom third here. 2 minute 57.41 time for him. Have to find the 2 seconds minimum in order to make up any time. So yeah, you can't see from Kig upwards, and then the rest, it is a huge divide.
It is indeed. So yeah, while some of the drivers get their tyres warm, as Jari Katila has a bit of a slide into the final couple of corners of our lap. Of course, he's coming up to the final complex of corners. A chicane we normally take in the other direction hits the tyres. That's not going to be enjoyable for the drivers behind. And then one final hairpin before the dash to start finish. Well, while the drivers are gearing up for probably what's going to be their final attempt, let's look at the championship standings if we can, just very quickly, just to see what's going on in the season so far. It's Fragmaster's Fatal who leads the way with 171 points ahead of Rick Cardle. Vitatas Lagutskas in third. He's not here this evening, I don't think, to try and climb any higher. Neither is Rick Cardle. So Fatal, well, he's got a little bit of an advantage. Rony might be looking to score a few points to jump up to P3, currently tied with Lagutskis. Then Unite, who's here tonight, Asker, Pekka Koivunen, Joni Kitela, Thamuli, and Lorenzo round out the top 10. And then we'll watch the rest of these screens scroll past, because we have 4 pages of results at this stage in the championship. Lots and lots of drivers competing in XL this year, Eoin and Miika. But what can we expect from tonight's action? Who do you think are going to be the big winners and the big losers? Because obviously we've got a lot of drivers who aren't here in the top of the championship, so lots to be gained from drivers low down.
What to expect? Certainly, if drivers are too greedy with the slidiness of the LX4, they're going to find themselves either in the grass, the gravel, or barrier of some description, and that could mean a high attrition rate. But the competitive, probably the balance of this car is so lightweight. I wouldn't be surprised if people were able to keep close to one another. And then when they find the right moment to strike, they'll go for it. So you can see Strutter here through sector 2. That will be just before turns 18, 19. So a very complex portion of the track there towards the top. That'll be a very single file section of the track. But any mistakes there will be severely punished.
Absolutely. We've got a few of these deadly chicanes as well. He's just gone through one there. Very nicely taken, in fact. So I would think this would be an improvement on currently what is P20 for Strutter. His lap time, his best lap, is probably not representative. We'll have to see him to the end of the lap. But we do have quite a spread of times here, which is a little bit unusual. I mean, look, down to around about P15 with 5.5 seconds. That's a lot. I mean, it's a long lap, Owen. The car is tricky, but, this is an experienced field. I would expect the drivers to be slightly closer than this.
Yeah, I was kind of half paying attention to the session at the very beginning. Then I stepped away for a bit and came back about 25 to. So I didn't see how the early times were set, but the last 10 minutes or so, we've seen another 5 or 6 cars join in. I think in this case, they've probably left it very late due to the length of the lap. So I doubt we'll be able to see exactly what they're capable of. But the top 5 from Fatal down to Unite, they've been right and ready, getting their times in and making sure they're at the peak of their powers.
Well, we have one Fragmaster's car at the top and another just setting P18 there, so still 6 odd seconds, 7.9 seconds off of Fragmaster's Fatal. But Nali Luca, he's the guy who is kind of shining a light to Fatal at the moment. Only 2 tenths in it at the moment. Pekka Koivunen 7 tenths behind. So, as Fatal there, a bit exuberant. He's got 1 minute to cross the line. That might be tight. I think he should just about make it for one extra attempt if he wants to. Putting some heat in the tyres towards the end of the lap. But yeah, it just shows you the top 3 have opened up such a void to everyone below. And don't forget, P4, Conquest Racing Gojki, that is a driver who has got some serious experience and only 1.2 seconds behind. So lots of experienced drivers, quite a long way off the pace. This is going to be an interesting one. Let's see what Fatal can do. Can he improve, or is he on an out lap? He's on an out lap, so he's going to start a lap now. One final lap. He will be one of the final cars to cross the line. And will he improve on this attempt? We'll have to wait and see. He doesn't need to, does he?
Yeah, it depends on Nali Luco's performance. If he's eligible to set another lap time, Fatal would be very, very pleased himself. He could get a 2 minute 51 just to put the ribbon on the present of pole position. It's just I don't have his deltas handily available, so just have to make an estimate to see how he's feeling with his lap of 44.11 through sector 1, I believe that was. Yeah, this is one of the trickier sections coming up now.
Asker just improved to P4 while you were giving that explanation there by over a second, so a good improvement. Goes behind his teammate Asker. We've got a bit of a gaggle in the middle of the track here. This is the Moody struggling to contain the rear end of this LX4. Doesn't have too much power, this car, but still some drivers struggling to keep the rear in check. A big hit on the curb there. That's going to send him wide. That's going to be the end of his lap.
Yeah, cover your
here's-
eyes there, Miika. Unfortunately, there, your teammate. Well, still be good for the grid, but yeah, just you don't want that to happen again if it's all possible.
Denialator has had an incident this lap, which has put him right next to Fatal. Hopefully, Fatal can get through if he can. Close. Here's Lorenzo also trying to set a last-ditch attempt. Plenty of drivers leaving it late to maybe show their true quality, but we'll have to wait and see who is going to be the king of the timing sheets. I have a feeling it's going to be Fatal, but we'll have to wait and see. Miismet has not managed to improve much. Currently P10 and will not get another lap in. But here is Fatal, the man of the hour. Let's see if he can improve on his final lap.
Onto the grass.
Yeah. It's not the fastest way around. Obviously, it's going to compromise the level of grip that he has through the final sector, but let's keep an eye on his on the attitude of his car through the final few turns. Oh, goodness me. Giving it everything through the chicane. Pedro BR improved his time in P17, but did not improve position, so P17 at best for him. Here comes Fatal, final corner, up to start finish. And let's see if he improves his time. He does not, but he didn't need to. So, provisional pole for him. And that, Owen and Miika, is everybody. So we can get a full rundown of the grid, the 22-car grid provisionally, for the start of this race. On pole position, a great time, 2 minute 52.15 from Fragmaster's Fatal. A couple of tenths behind is Nanaluka from Born to Race. Then we've got world-class lines Pekka Koivunen and Asker in P3 and 4, locking out the second row for their team. Conquest Racing Gosgi got pushed down to P5 by Asker in the dying seconds of that session. He will line up alongside Sidus Unite, top-placed Sidus car, only P6 tonight, ladies and gents. Bit of a far cry from there. What was it, 1, 2, 3, 4 lockout last time, I think, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, the last week, RTFR, there was a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Unbelievable. Well, Fatal was up there that time, and he's also up there again, but this is qualifying. Everything can change in the race. Antonio for Born to Race P7, then Race Queen's Rony P8, Michael and Miismataz round out the top 10. Then we've got Thamuli for ZFRL, Yaroslav Donelik, Timu Soini, Race Queen Lorenzo, Master Race Cars Kig, World Class Lines Yarek Attila, Pedro BR for MRC, Lurcy, Fragmaster Strutter, and Race Queen Redbot rounding out the top 20. And then just, I guess, a couple of cars left on the other page of our results screen. Just two of them, I think. Yes, there we are. Denialator and NE333. I'm not sure NE333 will even be allowed to start this race, will he, with that time?
Yeah, that might be cut off, but pardon me, Donny wants to enter the race without setting a time. So,
well, it's possible that I think Miika, you were about to say that in Excel there isn't a cutoff. I think it's just the normal configuration.
I don't think there is in RDF, there is not specific time that you have to put. But usually, if it's way too off the pace, Ronnie will tell that I will ask you not to start because it's just too slow.
Yeah, that is almost 20 seconds off the pace. So we'll have to see what Rony says either way. All right. 5 minutes to go before the start of this race. And we have a great one in prospect. This is, as I mentioned before, it's one of my favourite cars in the sim. And, Fern Bay is an absolute classic. It's tricky. And it looks like we're going to have 22 cars setting off in a few moments. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be back for the start of the race in about 4 minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to round 10 of Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large in 2022, the 70th ever RTFR XL at Fern Bay Black reversed in the LX4. We just had an hour of qualifying, and it's Fragmaster's Fatal who will line up on the front row alongside Born to Race Nalyaluka. Pekka Koivunen and Asker, the world-class Lions drivers, will be on row 2. Gojki for Conquest Racing and Sidus Unite round out the third row. Then we've got Antonio, Rony, Michael, and Mismataz, our top 10. Miika, this car is a handful, but getting it off the line is difficult. And we've got that horrible first kind of massive chicane, which we're gonna try and filter 22 cars through in a moment. It's a bit of a challenge, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be. Actually, the Harmon had a point that the curves on the chicane might be quite dreadful experience and might send some cars flying over. So we'll see how we manage the first chicane and if we can have any dives in the 4th, 5th corners of the track.
Yeah, for sure. The drivers will be setting off from this grid that you can see in front of you in a couple of moments' time, and they will be heading down to turn number 1. And it's going to be quite a spectacle. This car is open wheel at the front at the very least, so you can really get tangled up quite easily. And there they are, Fragmasters Fatal and Born to Race Nalyaluka on the front row. Owen, please take it away for the start.
Will do. Drivers ready to go. There's loads of space to the left and to the right, but we'll see with the green lights heading off now who gets the better getaway. Nalyaluka has the inside line. He's going to gain a little bit of traction on Fatal. The inside line is now against him since they're turning left. Oh, he's going wide. He's going to hit the hay bales. Contact with Koivunen. And it's complete anarchy, I'm afraid. It's just an innocent mistake. But Fatal is well and truly clear.
Yeah, he is absolutely checked out, and as predicted, it's all gone wrong for quite a lot of drivers in the first corner. Unnecessary risks, maybe? Well, we'll have to review it in post because we haven't got time. We've got drama already. Here comes Antonio. He's had a great start up to P3 now, forcing Asker a little bit wide and off the road. That's allowed Unite to sneak through, and then Pekka Koivunen is back alongside his teammate as we head into the second sector of the lap. Miika, that was quite a frantic start.
Yeah, it was a huge pile-up. We had an idea it could go. But luckily everyone's through and there's not huge gaps built up, so everyone's still in the same train, more or less.
Merely making a good move there on the inside of Yaroslav Donnelly. Yaroslav back down to P8. This is a nice section of the lap. It's really, really tricky, especially in these kind of twitchy, hard-to-handle cars. Over the curb here, you can smash the wall, the big iconic wall here at Fern Bay. No one making severe impacts, but Thamuli here right up the back of Asker already.
I'm just watching Miss Metsas for Born to Race. You got in between Lurcy and Yariktila at the wall. Now they're heading through 15, 16, 17. And that looks like courage has paid off there for Miss Mestas. So there you go in the pink LX4 there, chasing down any 333 who goes wide. Any 333 was actually last of the qualifiers, if I recall. And that's a very good start. Otherwise, even though I'd be disappointed to lose that position.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good start, and it's not what we expected his times to be, I suppose, but it's good to see him in the race nonetheless. Michael versus Donny. Michael, who's that? That's Strutter going wide. He started quite low down, but up to P11, but losing a place there to Michael. Nalyaluka, after that terrible, terrible start, is trying to regain places. He's currently alongside Donny, gets the inside, nice move into the hilly section.
And the drivers have to take care here as well. This is where the most terrifying accidents can happen due to the various rises in the track, and it can dip quickly as well. And then the chicane, if someone is stranded in the middle of the circuit, then there's very little you can do to avoid. But Nalyaluka has tried to pull the dummy on Strutter. And now he'll have the inside heading into turn 1 as we now completed the first lap.
Yeah,
lead Goski went wide in the last corner, which allowed Fatal to pull a little bit of gap and allowed Antonio to get past on the second place. We got a bit of a drama on the top as well.
Yeah, I see what you mean, Miika. Thanks for that. Goski down to third. Unite has now found himself in contention. For this particular section again, it's the kind of case where you've just got to follow before you can take advantage. And now looking from behind, Jaroslav Dunleak and Rony will be competing for 8th position here. Yeah, this corner coming up turn 12 looks like one of the scary ones in this car because you're going in a left to right sequence already, forces the car sideways, and then you have to turn sharply to the right. So if you're not slowing down already, that's where a lot of mistakes can happen.
I want to get a close-up camera angle of this car here. This is Nalaluka. This is the damage at the front of his car that he got from the first corner incident. He went too deep on the brakes, and instead of collecting Fatal and other cars, he went straight into the bales and has caused himself quite a lot of damage. And more damage there, going for a move where you do not go for a move, and completely wiping out Michael Malek. That is another big miscalculation from the Born to Race driver.
Well, I've got to say, it feels exceptionally lucky that neither driver went backwards or sideways onto the circuit again. They actually pointed in a 360-degree spin, going the way they wanted, but a horrific looking moment there, but it could have been a lot worse.
Well, I don't know how it could have been any worse. They both got even more damage than they had before. Okay, granted they're still going. Mitsmasas now behind his teammate with a much fresher looking car. This should be easy, but you know, Nalaluka, he's still got some pace. Goski is alongside Antonio at the front, looking to get back second place, and he has it. We just caught the end of this, and that's Unite in the background who's making places. But Goski's gone wide again, and this is a three-way scrap now, Eoin and Miika, for second place. Is this going to be tight through the chicane? Goski has the nose ahead, but he hits the tyres, and that allows Antonio to sneak through on the inside. Will Unite fancy a cutback on the exit? Goski's a bit rattled here, but no, they fall into order once again.
Wow, the difference between courage and stupidity, very, very narrow there. It could have gone all kinds of wrong for Goski, Antonio and Unite in this battle, but it's far from over here. Goski will continue the chase, and Arska will also be looking with excitement to see if he can get involved. He's currently 5th.
I wonder what the gap between Antonio or Goski or Unite and Fatal is going to be in a few laps' time. We're only on lap 3, the first few corners of lap 3, and the gap is 7.5 seconds to Fatal. That is unbelievable. But yeah, no, that's what happens when everyone else behind is fighting for position like this. Fatal has absolutely checked out. What is this pace? Where has this been? That is crazy, that gap. Arska got past his final sector, but he is currently 5th and stuck in this train of cars. He's tucked in behind Unite right now, so expect to see Arska maybe wanting to get through to the front of this train that's forming up behind Antonio. That's all you can call it at this stage. It really is a train. As Goski goes for a little bit of a half move there, very, very close through the apex, and he will be smart enough to not put a wheel on the inside of Antonio through this chicane. That incident between Michael and Nalaluka was could have ended a lot worse, Owen.
Yes, exactly. You were talking about the damage on Nalaluka's front end. Yeah, it's badly concaved in, as if it took a box to its nose. It's still carrying on. Very wide is Antonio, using that grass on the exit of turn 22.
Forget about
there's
Antonio.
Just about enough time before that fearsome 23-24 combo, having to brake very hard.
Antonio absolutely nailed it. Goski was a little bit well, I want to say hesitant because, well, it's not really hesitant. He still took it at full chat, but Unite was quicker, and he's managed to get the advantage coming out of the next corner, and he leads. He's into P3 in that battle. So Gozki, after fighting with Antonio for P2, now finds himself down in P4. He's looking to get back alongside. Unite gives him the room, very sporting of him, but now it's all turned again. Gozki will have the inside for the chicane. Unite yields, and that was a good comeback, to be fair.
Gozki had a good momentum coming out there in the last sector. That was really great driving from him, and you're not being just polite enough not to close the gap when he knows that he's so much alongside.
I mean, that was quite a long camera shot, and Fatal was nowhere in it. So Fatal now almost 9.5 seconds up the road after 3 laps of racing.
Yeah, it's getting ominous for the remaining 20 drivers, Pete and Miika. No one can get close to the 2:53.3 that was set as that fastest lap of the race. Everyone else is pretty much in the 2:55 average. It's actually Pekka Koivunen in 6th place, who's actually done a 2:54 with some clear space to himself before catching up to the main competition in front.
Mathematically speaking, there's going to be some lapping happening, obviously, in this race with that pace. But how many cars can Fatal lap with that pace if he keeps it on the road? Rony and Yaroslav are having a battle. Yaroslav now leading in that fight, so he's managed to get Rony back somewhere. Well, there we go.
Yeah, and the thing we do need to just remind anyone or inform, in case you're new to RT4XL, it's the mandatory 10-second pit stop. Whether or not you do any service to the car, that's your choice, but you must spend 10 seconds stationary in a pit box in order to meet the requirements of this race. So we will see strategy coming into effect sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. No one has pit yet. Not one single person, not even Nanaluka, even though his car is about 2 foot shorter than it was when he started the race. Gozki again has, a little bit more of a tentative line. Unite has managed to get all up the back of him again. Like the previous lap, Antonio went on the grass. So yeah, these 5 are so close together as Unite gets it wrong on the brakes, and that lets not one but both World Class Lines cars have an opportunity. Asker got through. Pekka Koivunen's dropped back slightly. But it looks like Gozki actually had a run on Antonio.
Oh, Gozki's wide just before the final set of corners to go up the
That
hill.
was so brave. He tried to go around the outside? Who does that?
Yeah, very short list. You can count it on my hand, Pete. I doubt very many others would do that.
Well, it's a list of 1.
Yeah,
Gozki.
a list of 1 so far, exactly.
Pekka Koivunen going around the outside of Unite. He's got his teammate there as a buffer, but Asker's blocked Pekka and has let Unite through. Asker left that inside line completely undefended, and Unite just said, well, thanks. Oh, and now we've got bump drafting between the teammates. Pekka Koivunen cannot have been happy with that. He was about to make a move, and Asker shuts the door on the wrong car.
Yeah, that if it had have paid off, that would have been a synchronized swimming style move there, with Arska dipping offline to allow Koivunen into the space, but it backfired because Unite ended up getting through anyway.
I want to paint a picture for you, Owen. You called it synchronized swimming. I call it scoring an own goal.
Yeah, it was basically getting in the way of your teammates' clearance, and the ball goes in the net. Yeah, very appropriate metaphor.
Thank you very much. Gozki back behind Antonio, Miika. This sort of racing is why we watch. It's why we drive. It's why we love LFS. This wheel-to-wheel racing in a car that, it's hard to drive, but you get someone who's good at defending but doesn't have the pace of the cars behind. They can hold the position, they can hold everyone up, and then you end up with this 12.5 second gap up front. Crazy.
It is, and you were wondering why people don't want to try this combo of this car, because it can be a handful, but then you look at these moves that the guys are going for, they're just sending it everywhere.
It's absolutely brilliant. I cannot overstate how much fun this car is to drive, and around Fern Bay, it is a joy. Look at this, Oscar wrestling with the car, getting a wheel on the grass, but still managing to hit the apex and still maintain the fight with his teammate. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, Fatal just carries on that emphatic march away from the competition with lap 6 on the horizon here. He gets through the turn 24 hairpin, no problem at all. He will be looking to be 14 seconds clear at the end of the lap if this carries on, but you can see if we move back to the second place and below contest, they're just inseparable, so that's the difference. No one in this group can actually get away.
Well, if you'd have tuned in 10 seconds ago, you would have been... we would have forgiven you for assuming this was a one-car race, because there was no one on camera with Fatal. That's how far ahead he is around this lap. Meanwhile, Antonio is still holding up Gojki. I mean, Gojki is talented. So is Antonio, to be fair, but, how can they not get past? They've clearly got the pace, but he's just doing such a good job of, holding him up. I mean, look at this.
It's pretty good defensive driving from Antonio. Go ahead, Owen.
Oh no, I didn't, Miika. I apologize for the interruption there.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Antonio's done very good job, on the defensive side of the driving. Meanwhile, Gotski, he's, I don't know, could you say he's just a little bit impatient, just going on for the attack on just the quite wrong places? Maybe he needs to get a grip on, try to make, more wise overtake in the end.
Well, here he goes. Oh, I thought he was going to go for it. That would have been an interesting place to go for the move, but the cars behind are going to lose patience eventually, and they are going to go for Gojki, and then we're going to be back to square one. But this has to happen at some point. Where is the best place to overtake for these guys now? Probably not the next right-hander. Definitely not into the chicane. It's tricky. It is tricky. Gojki again going for the outside line. I think he's trying to unsettle Antonio's rhythm here. Hoping he'll make a mistake. Again, early on the brakes, doesn't want to go for the move into the sharp left here. That's going to leave him vulnerable potentially from cars behind, because that was not a good exit. And look at this, Unite might fancy a sniff. No, he backs off. Oh, it's just a concertina effect of Gojki not knowing how to go for this move. Antonio he's holding on.
Yeah, Gojki is a little bit loose again into 18, 19. 20 is fine, but it's actually Knight behind who might be disappointed. Yeah, exactly. Koivunen looking to see what he can do into the chicane. They both go way too high. Gojki the only one able to cooperate with the tarmac. So Antonio actually must have gained some time. Gojki may have slowed himself down a little bit, but now into the treacherous left-hander. Gojki's overshot it, and that's Unite to the inside, but unfortunately he's not clear. And turns 25, 26 are just too quick.
Unite's going to be gutted. He braked so early. I feel like he had the inside line. Oh, he's got the inside line again here. So he's managed to hold Gojki out. I was not expecting that, but there we go. Oh, and there's contact. Both of them go off. Both world-class cars go through, and Gojki and Unite are left to pick up the pieces again. Unbelievable stuff, but I feel like Unite could have avoided this he would have been gutted. He should have just gone for the dive into the left-hander.
Yeah, but thankfully it's another example of the car able to... Oh, that was Gojki out of the chicane. He's gotten it all wrong, and Unite actually avoided contact before the left-hander, so that was a big relief. And the Himuli has come into play there. Great move for him. But yeah, I was just going to say, Gojki, when he was sent loose upwards towards the wall, he wasn't forced into a heavy bang or anything like that. So he was able to carry on. But now another battle there, Lorenzo. and Nalialuka, yeah, they're almost side by side out of the first chicane. Oh, rear end there, Lorenzo. Thankfully, another time where the car just didn't totally lose control, and now we have more cars taking to the pits.
Yeah, Yaroslav Donlik pitted. He's now on his way again. But not too many cars making pit stops. Nadia Luca is not going to survive this race if he keeps bullying cars like this. He needs to overtake them, not reshape the rear end. But there's not much more damage you can do to the front of his own car. He can just inflict damage on other people. But yeah, 16 seconds out at the front is Fragmaster's Fatal doing a stellar job. Antonio somehow has clung on to P2 because Goshki is now down to P7. So it has kind of unravelled for him, but he has the pace, he has time. There's laps in the race left, 21 in fact, 20 at the end of this lap. So I assume he'll probably settle down and catch back up. But it's now down to the world-class Lions guys to try and get past that immovable Born to Race car.
Yeah, the chance to hopefully get a better attempt at some teamwork will emerge for the world-class Lions duo. As of right now, it's just Koivunen on his own. He will get a little bit onto the grass there, looking backwards from Antonio's car there. Arska just a little bit too far back. You can just spot him in the camera shot now before the double right into left complex. Antonio will be just hopeful now there is a way clear into this second place he's been working so hard to defend.
Yeah, when Antonio remembers this race, he will remember the view out of the back of his car more than the view out of the front. He's been harassed since lap 1, and we're a good, how far are we? 20 minutes into the race now, and look again. There is more action in his rearview mirror.
With a warning bump. Didn't unsettle Antonio really. Arska is just lurking in the background. You won't get to see him with this camera shot, but yeah, Koivunen wants to get his hands dirty, and then if Antonio can be taken side by side, he'll definitely go for it.
Koivunen was looking very strong in the qualifying, so here we have opening, and I thought if there is just an opening, I bet Koivunen can do the pass and go ahead of Antonio, but it'll take maybe a few laps to try and force the error for Antonio.
If these guys keep bumping wheel to wheel, then Gojki's going to catch up, Unite's going to catch up, the Mooney's going to catch up, and we're going to be back to where we were before. Great stuff, it has to be said. As Pekka Koivunen goes wide, that's not going to help. Asker is going to want to go for a move on his teammates soon, and we know how that can go sometimes. Soini in the pits. There he is. Teemu Soini making his mandatory pit stop at the back of the grid.
Yeah, he has finished a 10-second pit stop with the refuel, so I'll hopefully get him to the end. He has clear track in front. Maybe he's just a little bit unsettled there. Didn't have a good entry into the chicane, but Redbot won't be able to catch up. And now I'll resume as a swap for positions here. Arska with consummate ease there gets into third place.
Yeah, that was either team orders or a bit of miscommunication. Arska was on the brakes, and then Pekka Koivunen was on the brakes, and then Arska decided to overtake. So yeah, Pekka Koivunen letting his teammate through there to try and have a go at the back of Antonio. Basically, what's happening here is everybody is taking turns to take a chunk out of Antonio, who himself takes a chunk out of the tyre stack. That could have ended a lot worse. We know how lethal those tyres can be, but he's managed to survive. And now it's Asker's turn to see if he can get through.
Yeah, he's hugging the apex way too hard there, to be honest. That wall, or the barriers, it's just, it doesn't allow for very sharp cornering there. It just forces you further outside. So Unite will be pleased to see that. He is now ready to battle the world-class Lions to see if he can get some positions back.
Look how much he's lifting off. This is how you have to approach this track. There's not many opportunities to overtake, so he's being super cautious, lifting off, short shifting. All of these things are holding everybody up. And Unite is being very patient, but he knows this is a long race, and he will make the move when he thinks he can. But these four really are they're very, very slow compared to obviously Fatal and the cars behind, because they are catching up as well. I don't know what I would do. Antonio is quite obviously the cork in the bottle at the moment. Do you pit right now and risk, coming out in traffic and hoping you can get through that better? But these guys are losing so much time.
Yeah, I'd certainly love to hear what Miika would do in this situation. He's more sharp in the race experience than me, but if I were in Antonio's shoes, I would certainly not pit. I'd just resist and keep going until that big gap behind Lorenzo, I believe. Lorenzo in 12th place. If I can get behind him with that huge gap, I would certainly change my mind, but at the moment there's absolutely no need for Antonio to pit.
Yeah, definitely. Antonio is there's no way he wants to pit right now, because he's not the one losing time, it's the cars behind losing time, so he's just gaining from this and keeping the guys behind and making it better for himself, even though at the same he's helping Fatal to get a better chance to get a free pit stop ahead of anyone else. But if I was Antonio, I will stay there as long as I can keep the guys behind and have a good competition.
Yeah, he's been fighting so hard. There's no point throwing in the towel and pitting just yet. He needs to hold his position to the death. He's already committed to that approach. So next behind, it's still Asker trying to find a way through, but Unite's creeping closer. He got past Pekka Koivunen earlier on this lap in a nice move. Meanwhile, Thamuli and Gojki are battling as well. Gojki caught up to Thamuli, got past, but then Thamuli managed to get past again. That was a better chicane from Antonio, a bit wide, but I know some of the drivers like to use the grass there.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to detract from how they want to get back on the power. Like we saw a little bit, probably 10 minutes ago, Gojki was very clean with his exit from the chicane, never got on the grass, and it seemed like he actually lost time. But he'll be certainly a factor in this race again as it develops. But Koivunen in pursuit of his teammate again. Perhaps that swap of positions didn't go as planned, because Antonio is still able to blockade the other cars from getting by.
Yeah, if you want to know what happened here, Pekka Koivunen had the most ridiculous second chicane I've ever seen. Went from behind Unite to being in a battle directly with Asker. It was quite incredible. Gojki, however, has got a run on Thamuli as we head out of the final corner. Surely now Gojki's got to get past here. This battle's been going on for 2 laps now. Just more proof that this is a very difficult combo for this car, especially for wheel-to-wheel racing. Late on the brakes, Gojki goes to the inside and moves back up to P6. That was a great move.
Yeah, so Gojki's journey back to the top 3 at least begins in earnest. Yeah, he's got a long way back. It would be roughly 5 seconds to the competition in front. Yeah, the Thamuli shouldn't have any complaints so far. This is a very good run from the ZFRL representative.
Yeah, absolutely. Pekka Koivunen's on a charge. His teammates thrown him the baton and also dropped behind Asker. So Asker moves from P3 to P5 in only a couple of corners, but Pekka goes wide. Nobody has Antonio just got a force field behind the back of his car. Everyone's just falling over behind him. And again,
yeah, good question. I'd love to know, but definitely some mind games in play as Antonio. Just the pressure of being able to overtake him is psyching out these other drivers behind, and if they get too desperate, then mistakes will occur.
Well, Pekka, he took the chicane in such, in the quickest way I've seen anyone take the chicane in quite a while in the previous lap, and he almost overtook 2 cars. So let's see what he can manage here. Quite close to the back of Antonio. Antonio did it better.
Oh my
goodness.
Wall, Pete, I beg your pardon.
Yep. Everyone clipping the tyres. Antonio managing to make it look easy and doing just enough to hold on to P2. But, the gap to Fatal continues to climb. 22 seconds now with 9 and a bit laps done. Sorry, 10 laps done. What can Fatal manage here? We're going to be getting close already to one of the largest wins in Excel if he carries on like this. Just how far up the history books can Fatal end up with this effort here? Well, anyway, attention being paid very closely to these guys. Their sponsors are getting a lot of airtime because Antonio is doing a pretty good job, it has to be said, of holding everybody else up. But Pekka Koivunen now, almost in the slipstream on the home straight. He's not going to be quite close enough, is he, for a move into turn 1? That would be pretty brave or stupid, depending on how you look at it. No, not close enough. But close enough potentially for a move elsewhere. Now, Antonio's defending is going to be put to the ultimate test now, because Pekka is really desperate now. He really is desperate.
Yeah, the iron might be getting hot. Antonio is working his socks off here. This section of corners here, turns 7, 8, and 9, are just a little bit too quick in these cars to get alongside. You've got to wait for a harder braking point. Another fine block there. But again, it could be the case where this second sector with the very tight left-hander could help out. That's turn 12 exiting now. It's just so precise, the placement of the car. A little bit of a slide there for Antonio. It's not going to be enough, as we have a lovely aerial shot here. It just depends what happens before that left-hander, I think, guys.
Yeah, for sure. But Pekka wasn't able to make gains in the places I expected. His next best opportunity will be braking for the corner onto the bridge at the end of the next straight. Goodness me, he's so close. He needs to leave himself a bit of a gap because this chicane, it can get pretty spicy. Let's see what happens. We're going to stick with this for now. Dab of brakes for Pekka, trying to psych Antonio out. A little bit of a slide. Antonio will have a bit of an advantage, and Pekka needs to be brave. He needs to be brave on the brakes. That is the only place he's going to get this done. He goes to the outside. Earlier on the brakes slightly. Antonio, can he try the cutback? No, Antonio is doing everything right here. Everything right.
That's fine driving again. It was a great effort for Koivunen, but the cutback was blocked off.
I guess one of the keys for Antonio is that he's slower in some places that are so unexpected. So when the guys behind they catch him up so quickly, like in the middle of the corner, that they don't expect they can't go for the move anymore. They should have done it earlier, but they can't expect it because it's always a little different place. So it's very hard to build up an overtake for this kind of situation.
Yeah, that's becoming more and more evident. And now you're going to see some pit stops. Are we? No? Yes, we are.
Yes, we
Antonio has, very strangely, in my opinion, given up his second position. Asker has managed to move ahead of Pekka Koivunen. So a bit of a shake-up there. But Antonio, I mean, fair play to the guy. He held up this lot for most of the race so far, but has now decided to go to the pits and serve his 10-second mandatory stop. I believe he's on his way again, is he? Yes, he is. There he goes. And he did the fastest stop of the race so far from anyone.
And he also refueled, so that might be some of the reason he came in so early at this moment.
Luca did not repair damage. That is a messy looking front end, but somehow still in the race in P11. It looks like the drivers are using the fuel to time the pit stop here again. So that is probably why Antonio's pit stop was so quick. He's come out behind Rony. Importantly, not close to Rony really at all. In fact, probably about 8 or 9 seconds. We'll get an update at the sector time. 9 seconds, there you go. The gap to Rony. So plenty of time to get his head down and try and make something of that gap that he has over the World Class Lines drivers and Unite.
Yeah, so Born to Race must have had that strategy. Antonio would not have wanted to be behind his teammate if Luca kept going, so it made sense for them both to pit. And as we were discussing between us a few laps ago, Antonio was right to stay out until he knew there was a big gap between himself and the other drivers in the top 10. So he now has that advantage, and it'll be just Rony, the Himuli, and Goshki to catch up on pace before he gets back to where he was before.
Yeah, I think Goshki is currently the fastest of these guys. I'll have to defer to Chris's eyes for that stat, but I think just by looking at it, Goshki is closing up to these guys. He's dispatched with Thamuli a few laps ago, and Goshki has got clean air, so he's got no one to battle with right now, so he should be able to close up. Unite is being either patient or scared at the moment. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, Unite can be very patient time to time with his overtakes. He doesn't risk it too much. He knows it's a long race. We're still not even halfway through, so there's gonna be plenty of chances to get past.
Well, here's something Fatal might not have expected. Did he expect to come into the pit lane, do his pit stop, and then re-emerge in the lead? Who knows? But that's just happened. He is back out in the lead, and to Asker's shock, the Fragmaster's car has come out in the lead after pitting. Gojki also in, so this is going to be interesting. Where will Gojki come out? He had a gap, and he was gaining on the cars in front as we lose someone from the race. Who did we just lose from the race?
Meets
Matas, okay.
That's good.
Yeah, well, Goshki rejoins, and he still has quite a lot of fresh air, so that won't necessarily be a bad thing. Quick stop, because he timed it with the fuel. So we'll have to keep an eye now on what happens with this battle, because Unite does not want to lose time now. He needs to get past Pekka. Pekka yields, in fact, and Unite's back through up to P3. That's P4 on aggregate, we think, if Antonio retakes P2. Yeah, Unite can't afford any more time loss. He's wasted too much time with the World Class Lions cars.
Yeah, it's the final ultimatum for Unite, really. Fatal being able to time his journey into the pits and still maintain the lead. I suppose Unite knows the best he can realistically achieve is the second place, currently vacated by Antonio. But if he has a good run here in the middle part of the race, he should be able to compete with Erska. Erska puts in a very good third sector time. Now gets through that extremely daunting corner. Just having the opportunity to catch, but it feels like Erska has the measure of this lap time. Just a tiny double of that gravel that keeps the track, I suppose, a bit separated, I suppose. So yeah, lovely sequence there for Erska. Now Koivunen has overtaken Unite, so a mistake of some description for Unite there, and Koivunen's through. Just have to wonder, Unite must have just dropped it on his own. That'd be deeply agonizing. But he was able to avoid a huge crash or any problems. Now Koivunen responds with a pit stop. He'll be coming in for possibly a refuel. Yeah, you won't want to fix anything else really, just to get back straight away onto the track. Yeah, he's timed it well, a 10.52 second stop.
Yes, but Antonio managed to get through and ahead by quite a margin, actually, over Koivunen, so he's going to hate that. Reportedly, Unite had a hardware issue, so that explains what happened there. As Oscar makes a move on a back marker.
Yeah, NE333 is now, we saw he had a good start. Now he's beginning to struggle just a little bit. Yeah, those front tires getting a bit cold, certainly in comparison to what we see with the front runners. Just needs to monitor that situation. He's a long way back from Redbot, really, so it's just a matter of avoiding the side-by-sides with these faster cars, and maybe as we head towards the 50% mark, he can get that mandatory pit stop done and maybe get some new tires. Yeah, he's starting to wobble all over the place and hitting the scenery, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe one of his first events. Not a name I have seen before. So, well, we are very welcoming of beginners. So, happy to see him here. Hopefully he can work on his driving in the sim and see him again. Battle of the Czechs. Yada and Michael, which seems to have negated itself almost as soon as I switched the cameras. There we are.
Yeah, I just made a mistake. I had a quarter flight there and left away from Michael. He was just about to make a move. Then he overshot it.
Someone who we've not talked much about this race, which is unusual, Ian Donny, who is normally a front runner, currently battling to keep inside the top 10. He's currently fighting with Lorenzo for P9, but he's got quite a distance to the cars ahead, so he really needs to get past if he's got the pace over Lorenzo. Yada and Michael look like they've had a crash just as we've moved the cameras away. Something's happened here. Michael's car looks a lot more battered than it did. Yada was facing the wrong way, so something's gone awry.
Yeah, I have no clues to help me describe what happened there. Yeah, Donny was late to the qualifying session. It meant he had no registered lap time. So if anything, being in 10th and competing for 9th is actually a respectable sign there. But he would have preferred the chance to be with the hot competition we've seen from 2nd to about 6th place. Yeah, that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Two trips through the tyres for Michael and Yada at the chicane. Oscar, well, he's probably in a position he didn't expect to be in. I'm still intrigued to see what happens between him and Antonio. 20 seconds of the gap, and that just depends how quickly Oscar can get in and out of pit lane. It should be enough for Oscar to take P2, so we will wait and see. Since Antonio went in the pits, Oscar has been consistently faster than Antonio. So Chris in our ears reckons that Oscar might just have it. Antonio taps the wall again. Look at that. It's Pekka Koivunen. Pekka Koivunen, I think, has a nemesis in Antonio, not the opposite way around. Would sorely like to get through, I reckon.
Yeah, this will be a great chance to get Antonio in a straight 1v1 contest. It seems like Antonio was pretty much he was finding great delight in holding up his competition, but maybe in this situation it might be harder for Antonio because he can't just pick a line and then someone else behind his main competition will get involved somewhere else, and that will distract them. And here, this is 1v1 battle. Lorenzo has the inside. Donny will then have to merge the outside. He's actually nailed that breaking point, and Lorenzo had to yield.
Yeah, great move. But look how hard some of the drivers are having to fight for these positions. It's so hard to get past around Fern Bay Black Reversed in this car. So yeah, the fights that we're seeing on camera are they're kind of awkward looking, aren't they? The drivers are having to push so hard to find the margins.
Yeah, and they can't go to the extreme because of the nature of this track. So many bumps and so many grassy areas. It just makes it so difficult to take a gamble, really. You can see now with the Czech drivers, they're so close again, but if they get too close, then something else will happen between them, and that'll be even greater frustration for them.
Well, something did happen. Yarda managed to get back past Michael, so Michael must have had an even worse lap this lap than the previous one. Behind them, it's Yarikatillo with an equally broken-looking car. Timu Soini a bit further back, and then Strutter, who's had a woeful afternoon, P16 currently. So yeah, not where he made a good start. He got up to P11, I think, and then has dropped back slightly. So well, everyone has a story to tell after this one, especially Fatal, who has a 6-second gap now over Asker. But remember, Asker, Unite, and Thamuli and Rony, all yet to stop.
Yeah, and Fatal, once he laps, who would it be on the track? Yeah, it's Denialator and Redbot. They're going to be caught by the race leader at some point. But yeah, we look at Koivunen's on board, carry on.
Yeah, I don't understand the logic behind that attempt. I mean, he got so close, unsettled his car, and then slapped the wall, giving himself rear suspension damage, among other things. Pekka's got a lot of experience, and this is confusing me. It's confusing me why everyone is struggling to get past Antonio.
I'd love to know what Antonio... well, he won't give away his secrets, obviously, but perhaps his strategy into this race. Like, would he have been anticipating the fact that he would be in P2 and having lots of variety of competition behind him? It just seems like no matter what happens, he's always able to find a way to make the least amount of judgments, I suppose, that cause time loss.
Yeah, I don't know what sort of competition you're thinking about, Owen, there, but unless Pekka's wearing different hats every time he goes for a move, Pekka's been the one who's struggled to get past the most this race. But yeah, you're right, Antonio, again, just minding his own business and doing a good job, and Pekka's just struggling to get past. He's got the pace, obviously, but can't get the job done.
Yeah, and Denialator takes the pits for the mandatory stop, but any 333 has just reset the car from scratch rather than using the pit lane himself. So Rony may have to step in and just say you have to withdraw from the race. You decided to just pit the car with the automated system. So yeah, he won't get credited for the majority of his work today, unfortunately.
Right, if I can channel my inner, I don't know, communication with Pekka, he's caught up again. What does he have to do to get this job done? How hard can it be to get past this blue car that he's been trying to get past for the better part of 50 minutes? Goes for a move, goes for a half move, drops back 2 seconds, catches back up, and then drops the ball again. Come on, Pekka, you can do it.
This NE 333 could be getting in the way now. He's actually going to go onto the grass out of the way. So I think Koivunen's best chance is an outside distraction. Miika, did you want to put in a theory?
Yeah, I can really feel the pressure on Koivunen and the frustration he might have. I have a little story about this summer actually. We went karting with our friends, and I had a decent pace, and I was going faster than the guy in front of me, but I just struggled trying to make an overtake, which led to me making more and more mistakes and finally dropping back down and spinning out. So it's when you know you have that little bit of pace difference, like you're going faster, but you just it's easier to start making mistakes in that spot. So that might be what's happening with Koivunen right now.
Yeah, but it's so unusual for such an experienced driver. I don't quite understand what's happening. Well, hopefully he can get the job done eventually. But if he doesn't, then you have to say full credit to Antonio for holding his own while all of this drama just unfolds behind him. It has really been tumultuous the whole race, and Antonio has remained constant. He's probably going to lose out to Oscar by the looks of it. The gap now 21 seconds or thereabouts. 21 seconds I think is the gap. So by the time Antonio catches up to Oscar after Oscar pits, probably Oscar will be in front. But still, a podium is on the cards here for either one of these drivers. For Antonio, if he can continue to just drive his own race, and Pekka, if he can find the talent to get past. Oscar's in, so we're going to find out now.
Yeah. So Oscar's going to be he's going to be close. No, I think he's got to yield. Yeah.
Wow! In the end, it wasn't a good in lap. It must have been a bad in lap or something for Oscar, because Antonio and Pekka are back through. So I don't know. I think that might have annoyed Koivunen even more. Oh no! I've got my damn teammate to battle with again.
Yeah, if that overcut had have worked for Arska, just to actually find a way through Antonio, there would have been rejoicing for world-class Lions, but unfortunately not. It didn't produce the results that would have been the ambition, but yeah, we'll see now as it's a 2v1 battle instead of just the straight dogfight between the two separate drivers.
Well, full credit to Antonio, to be honest. But yeah, let's look at this. So Unite is 12.5 seconds behind. He still has to pit. So does the Muli, and so does Rony. So lots of cars still left to pit in this race and shuffle up the order. Lorenzo and Yari further back still left to pit as well. So that's 5 cars, I make it, who have yet to go through the pit lane and do their mandatory stop. But Unite, he will come out he'll come out quite a way behind the world-class Lions drivers, and maybe will be in a fight with this man, Gojki, who is still in P8, hasn't made much ground on the cars in front, but is only 2 seconds now behind Oscar. Should just see him in shot there. Yes, you can. Yeah, a whole run of cars up ahead. Gojki has Oscar, Koivunen, and Antonio in his sights once again. And there are still 10 laps to go. 9 after this one. So plenty of time for Gojki to make up that 2 seconds and start to eat into the drivers that he was battling with in the early stages.
Yeah. I suppose if there's any feeling of dread for Gojki, I think he can begin to just let it go a little bit and just go for a pressure-free run to the end and see if he gets a stroke of luck that will get him back to those places that he had, and unfortunately ended up falling away just a little bit. So he certainly shouldn't give up yet, especially the long runners here. Unite, the Muli and Rony will have to pull into the pits at some stage. But yeah, they are currently well enough apart. No side-by-side battles for them just yet.
Luca still trying to find pace to catch up to Lorenzo with that very damaged car. Didn't choose to repair the damage in the stop, so it can't have been that bad. I mean, it's bad enough getting damage on the first corner. What's worse is having to nurse it for the rest of the race, and it's going to be a 1.5 hour race. This pretty much. So that's not a fun afternoon if you're carrying damage for that long.
Not at all. I suppose live for speed, the damage model. If there is extreme damage, it may look like it could certainly rip your components apart, but now it's a lot of cosmetic damage that we see on Naloy Luca's car, but it's mainly the suspension. If you cause damage to your suspension, that's where you really fear the worst case scenario. But no, I don't think that suspension is critically damaged. There's definitely some damage, but not enough to take Naloy Luca out of the race.
Yeah, LFS's damage model is forgiving, especially with cosmetic damage. The most of the components on the bodywork of the car do not interact with the tyres or the suspension. You can drag a splitter on the ground. That can cause quite a number of issues, especially for your steering. But generally, if you bend a panel, as we've seen in Nally Luca's case, in fact, I think bending a panel is a little bit of an understatement. He's caved in the radiator, even though this car is rear-engined. But there we are. Oh, it's front-engine. Sorry, it is front-engine. Of course, where would the engine go? The driver's right on the rear axle. Front-engine, but rear-wheel drive, this car.
And if we put the cameras back to Naloy Luca, he's now on the inside of Lorenzo, but it'll become the outside for the... Oh, no, they don't know where they were on circuit.
I mean, there's no excuses for that.
Oh, it's devastating.
That's just Naloy Luca's error. He should have been looking his mirrors that much.
Well, he wouldn't have seen him in his mirrors. He was alongside, but, you know, it's basic spatial awareness, and you can hear the guy's engine next to you screaming, surely. I mean... That was a kill. Lorenzo's going to be fuming about that.
Yeah, I think we'll need to get the I suppose the admin's inquiry there. I would certainly absolve Lorenzo that he stuck to the inside line as he should have. He didn't turn in too wildly because obviously the corner was going to merge to the right. So it was a case where there was a little bit of a gap and neither of the drivers could maintain it any longer. So it was just a bad collision. But yeah, thankfully they're able to carry on, as I think Lorenzo needs to pit.
Yeah, I mean, he would have got some damage. He was sent into the wall there. Nadia Luca has not had a shiny day. Started badly, and it's just going from bad to worse. That was not fantastic. Lorenzo in the pits for fuel only, so it can't have been damage that he was in for. So he's going to rejoin around... Well, he'll probably come out where he is, in fact.
Yeah, Don Leake's on the start-finish straight. Lorenzo's already negotiating the chicane, so yeah, that's now positions lost for Lorenzo.
After this lap, we will have, completed 20 laps of the race. Fatal leads ahead of Unite, currently a 12-second deficit, but Unite still to pit. The Moody still to pit, 12 seconds behind Unite. Then we've got Rony, who is going through there in P4. Jari Katila has hit the pit lane and rejoins in P15. Will be safe from Strutter behind. Strutter 21 seconds back at this point. But yeah, this is a standout performance of the season for Fatal. He's had a tricky season. He is currently leading the championship. He will extend his lead. Pekka Koivunen, we're hearing, is spun at the chicane, and that's not going to help his race. and that's going to allow Asker to get back through.
And it also means Antonio's got a significant clearance over the world-class Lions. If anything, Rony there in 4th place, going for the long stint. He could be caught by Antonio soon, and that would be an interesting fact because Antonio hasn't had a chance to overtake anyone for position, really. That would be a very unusual circumstance.
That is true. It will be for position, but of course Rony is out of phase. He hasn't pitted yet. He's on a different strategy. But yeah, Antonio, I don't know what has happened here, but he must be throwing bananas out of that car.
Yeah, he must be having a Mario Kart, benefit of some kind. Just forces the other drivers to slow behind him. It definitely has a few power-ups in his disposal.
Could you imagine LFS with Nintendo-style power-ups? Anyway, that's for another day. That would be very funny. But yeah, Asker is now back in the hot seat, but too far behind. So I'm going to give Antonio a break. I've been hard on him this race. He's doing a really good job. Everyone else behind is just falling off the road. But yeah, let's see. Will Antonio manage to catch up to Rony and have an on-track battle before Rony pits? Hard to tell, but Rony has to come in the pits in the next 5 laps.
Yeah, there might be. So the Mooley is catching Redbot, who is going to be blue flagged. So Redbot might have a say in this race. Also, while I can mention it, the last lap was the fastest lap by Unite. So this late stage is really working out nicely for him. So he could possibly get himself raring to go for a chance at 2nd place. But it would be a long shot.
Yeah, finding pace now is it's a bit late, but it's better late than never in some cases. And yes, you're right. He could regain P2 potentially here if he can keep it up. Probably enjoying the tire life of those road supers. As obviously they get older, they become faster in LFS, which is a bit unusual, I know, but that is the way it happens. Once you get over the heat peak of these tyres, they come back to you, and that is what Unite is experiencing at the moment. A lovely set of post-heat peak tyres in LFS. Chris says, not unlike graining in F1. I haven't thought about it like that. That's a good one. Nice two-wheel action there from the Sidus driver. Give him a little bit of space and focus on Thamuli for a bit. Your teammate Miika, how's he doing? P3 currently.
Seems to be a solid run from him. Of course, he's gonna drop a couple places down when he pits, but yeah, he started P11 or something, so he's managed up to take up quite a few places in the long distance.
As indeed.
And there is the pit right now.
Yeah, good
But Rony
timing.
still stays on the track. We'll have to see how this turns out.
Yeah, this train of cars goes through, but where is Thamuli going to end up? Dhoni comes through as well. So we'll be lucky to keep a top 10 here. Should just come out ahead of Nanaluka. He has to hope he does, because it doesn't look like anybody has survived being near Nanaluka. Yes, he does come out ahead, with enough breathing room to be safe, I would say.
Yeah, no instant threat right there.
And Rony is definitely being caught by Antonio. It could be the next lap or two if Rony decides to carry on before Antonio will feel he can get side by side with our esteemed host of RTFR. He's just doing what he loves to do. If he doesn't pit on the first lap, he goes almost to the end on a consistent basis with strategies. So Antonio will have to bear that in mind. Take a deep breath. He knows he still has enough of a lead over Arska, where he can just follow the slipstream of Rony's for a little while before making his move.
Yeah, we're riding on board, and you can just see how twitchy this car is over, through corners that are otherwise quite trivial in other cars. Getting the power down, it's not as difficult as the bigger sister of this car, the LX6, but it can still catch you out, especially through the chicane. The car becomes quite unsettled. Again, Antonio using all the road, Rony not using the grass, Antonio using the grass. That will give Antonio an advantage down to the next left, which is where all race long he's been gaining time on other drivers.
Yeah,
very nice on the brakes as well.
That was definitely a stage of the track where Antonio was the strongest out of his competitors there. He'll know that the World Class Lions, they've recently just lapped Redbot, and Goshki has certainly gained time, so this could be even better news for Antonio, because if Goshki can split the World Class Lions or get ahead of them or cause them any sort of distraction, then Antonio can then just concern himself with the Unite's progress, as we will eventually find out what his true position is. Wow, Goshki has used curbing a bit too heavily there, but thankfully carried on.
Yeah, Arska is now the bottleneck for Pekka, and that's going to cause both of them concern because Goshki is lurking. Rony pits finally, and will rejoin in around the Nanaluka Thamuli battle. Let's see, maybe behind even, as Nanaluka comes over start finish. Just ahead and behind Thamuli. So again, a little bit of a lost the rear. Nanaluka is going to catch up.
Yeah, Rony didn't need any service on the car, and that shouldn't cause his tires to be out of sync or anything like that. So it's just a case of the distinct pattern of the first 3 or 4 corners on Fern Bay Black reversed. If you're not following the racing line precisely, then you will certainly struggle in a car like the LX4.
Fern Bay Black, I think you were about to say. That was quite good.
I'll have to take the L.
Yeah, I've minced my words enough. I can make fun of you. Goshki has managed to split the World Class Lions cars. He's sent it on Arska, and it's happened. Well, actually, I think Pekka got past Arska first, and Arska dropped back behind Goshki, so he missed it while I was making fun of you.
Arska had a little bit of slide there, so he missed us some time here, and Goshki and Koivunen made it through. But we will have to see if Goshki can go for Koivunen as well. He's getting very close at the moment.
Yeah, well, it looks like one of these guys is going to get a podium. It's not going to be United this rate as Arska loops it. That's him out of the contention. That was a disaster.
Backwards into the wall and then skidded into the forward direction again. And as a matter of fact, Donny and one of the lap cars, Redbot is not in this battle. So Donny, this would be a huge morale boost for him, seeing as he was down the order at the beginning of the race, and he could still find himself competing for 6th place or maybe better.
Yeah, after a big spin like that, Donny's number plate will not be helping Arska's mood. Let's see what Donny can do as he closes up the gap.
Arska, a lot of grass taken there with his left front. Another slide there before the chicane. And now just on the windshield of Donny's car with the onboard camera. Goes high for the
good exit.
Apex, lovely job, and he's got the slipstream.
Arska yet again giving up the inside line, very unusual. Donny will just say thank you very much and drive away. Well, that is a turnout. Donny, very nice move up to P6. Asker is rattled a little bit. He had the pace over Donny at the beginning of the race, but after that incident, he just hasn't found the rhythm. And Donny makes a surprise appearance up to P6.
Absolutely, but Unite still the holder of the fastest lap at the moment.
Do you know why?
Well, he's got his correct paint scheme on, doesn't he?
You got it in one there, Owen. You got it in one.
Yeah, I'm learning. Yeah, so his delta over Antonio, it's probably just a little bit too narrow for him to make it. But if he pits this lap and then gets 2 very good full laps before the finish of the race, then Antonio may finally meet his match. But unfortunately, these world-class Lions, with the departure of Arska from the scene, it's just down to Koivunen to make sure he hangs on against Gojki.
Well, both Gojki and Koivunen were faster than Antonio most of the opening stint, but just neither of them had the gusto to get past. Yeah, you're right. Antonio's going to be a bit glad that they're battling with each other once again, as we've got a fight going on between Nalaluka and Themuli. Themuli, what has happened there? Rony has dropped back behind Nalaluka, and Nalaluka's all the way over the back of Themuli. So a change of pace here from the Born to Race car.
A late revival.
Well, I think we might see some fireworks towards the end of this race, especially if these two get closer. Oh, is that Rony going sideways? Yes, it was. Rony
Yes.
spun it as well. So more mistakes. So some drivers being absolutely undone by this track and this car. Nalaluka is looking spicy behind Themuli. Themuli will be beginning to have beads of sweat dripping down his forehead inside his crash helmet, with the state of the car that is following him, the battle scars from earlier events. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be there.
No. I see Redbot is going to be caught by these two for the lapping sequence. So you can just see, yeah, there's Redbot's black LX4. So if Nalaluka can use him as a distraction now, I think the Themuli just couldn't defend that position. He didn't have the inside line, but he wants the counter attack here, folks. See if he can do it. But this is a very dangerous spot. Turn 1, very, very dangerous.
Yeah, Nalaluka hasn't seen. Themuli hasn't seen the previous events of what happens when you go side by side with Nalaluka. But Nalaluka leaves room that time, and again, so this is a fair fight so far. And yeah, this is the battle for P8 currently. We're just waiting for Unite to make his pit stop before we find out what the final order is going to be. Another cutback. Great wheel-to-wheel battling this. So a bit of a redemption for the Born to Race car, and the edge is ahead.
Yes, he has the position for the time being there. Turn
Remarkable.
8 into 9 now. The bridge should now offer Redbot the chance to get out of the way. No, he couldn't take it. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too short of a bridge. But after turn 12, then yes, Redbot will be well and surely informed of what's behind him. Waiting. So this is actually really bad news for Nalaluka. He's getting held up extensively, but maybe he can finally get through. And the Themuli, he used that extra tarmac to get by. So yeah, that was a little bit of a disappointment there for the Born to Race's second representative on the track today. Yeah, it's not over yet.
I don't know if action is a fair word to use here, but that car of Nalaluka has seen so much action this race. I'm surprised it's even able to make overtakes on anyone, let alone up to P8. 8 seconds to go, probably too much to ask to catch up to Asker. But yeah, we wait to see what happens with Unite. He's caught up to Fatal. That gap now down to 9 seconds, but he's still got to make a pit stop.
And if it's not now, it has to be the next time by. Otherwise, he will face the reprimand for not getting the mandatory pit stop completed.
Here it comes.
No, he's going to leave
Oh
it
my
to the
goodness me.
absolute last minute. Miika and Pete with a fast lap.
Yeah, another fastest lap, but even with that fastest lap, I still think he's going to come out in P3 or 4. He's going to be around Goski and Pekka Koivunen. He's not going to be anywhere near Antonio, even with that pace.
I can see why doesn't want to beat, but he really has to right now, and I'm excited to see how close it's gonna be. It's gonna be a close call, one way or another, but we have to see where he ends up.
He's 3 seconds a lap faster than Antonio, but still, it's going to be so close. 1 lap to go. Is it enough to make the jump and keep the podium? He used the correct skin. He's had a pretty great race. Probably deserves a podium. But can he get it? Will it be P2 or P3 or somewhere further down? We will wait and see. One thing's for sure, or pretty much written, is that Fatal has driven one of the races of his sim racing career, I think. This is a heck of a gap. It's going to be about 30 seconds, I say, when he comes across the line. 30 seconds ahead of either Unite Antonio Goski or Pekka Koivunen.
Yeah, we'll see if that prediction pays off in the next minute and a half. Yeah, Unite has definitely become comfortable with the track. Yeah, small mistake there.
Very nice chicane. Let's see. He needs to gain about another 1.5 seconds in the next half a lap to be in with any sort of shout of being in a fight with Antonio. I think it's already done. I don't think he can gain enough time, but we will see. We will see. We're going to find out in the next minute or so what is going to happen in this race. It's going to be a close one. I don't think it's enough. I think Antonio, for the hard time he's had this race, I think he has clung on very well. There he is. That is the... Oh, goodness me, as we've got another car spinning, and it's Pekka Koivunen. It's the other WCL car. Oh, goodness me.
Fast. Oh,
almost collecting his teammate. Oh, no, that wasn't his teammate. That was
Donny.
Donny.
Yeah, Donny.
So Donny, yeah, goodness me.
Very close call.
he's now in the top 5. And Koivunen has to let his teammate through, really.
Well, that I did not expect. To see Pekka Koivunen and Asker both looping it at the chicane after, the entire race, pretty much, as Unite comes into the pit lane. Let's see then what is going to happen at the front of this race, and keep all eyes on Antonio, who makes his way towards the final chicane. Unite is stationary, not adding any fuel. He's manually timing his pit stop again. This could be interesting. And he's on his way.
Off. He should be ahead of Antonio.
Yeah, he is going to be ahead. He's going to be well ahead, in fact. And my calculations were clearly shot. Unite rejoins in P2. Good effort.
And therefore, the solution to Antonio's puzzle is the extensive overcut to make sure he can get by without needing to go wheel to wheel with him. So there's the answer we were all looking for.
Yeah, very nice pit stop. Very, very nice in-lap from Unite. The pace that he had at the end was enough to overthrow Antonio. But now, look, Antonio is possibly at risk of losing a podium here because Goski has fire in his eyes now. He wants this podium. He's worked hard enough. He's been up and down the grid twice after various incidents and accidents, and now has to get past his arch nemesis in the race. Everyone's arch nemesis in this race. Born to race Antonio, the human chicane, it's fair to say.
Yeah, he'll wear that tag with honor if he can hang on for this one last dance with Goski. There is a lapped car ahead. Oh, Goski decides to power into the back. I don't know if that's right. No, Antonio retaliates. That's pure retaliation.
Absolute kill. Oh my goodness me. That was absolutely uncalled for. I mean, oh my goodness. Well, if he was driving on city driving, that would be a 10 out of 10 pit maneuver, but it's a different sport, I'm afraid. And Antonio, you cannot do it. You cannot do it. What scenes have we seen here on the final lap? Antonio, I feel like I don't know. I don't think Gosky did that deliberately, but that pit maneuver was absolutely 100% deliberate. Everyone could see it, and yeah, it's not a way. It's not a way I wanted to see this race end, really.
For the defense of Anthony, maybe he didn't want to make it like that harsh. Maybe he just wanted to give a little kiss, like look what it did
Well,
to
it
me.
doesn't
But
matter. It
yeah,
doesn't matter
but
because it
it's
ended
still
up.
it's intentional, so it's
Yeah,
very
Gosky's
very
car went
bad thing.
completely round.
Unlucky it ended up that way. It was such a tight battle. I wanted to see it more, but oh, this is racing sometimes.
Those cars just exiting sector 3, but our race winner, our championship leader, extends his championship lead, crossing the line with an absolutely enormous gap over everybody else on the field. Well done to Fragmasters Fatal, who wins in 1 hour, 18 minutes and 30 seconds, a best lap of 2 minutes 52.1. Possibly not enough, in fact, not enough to claim fastest lap, but it doesn't matter because he has the mother of all gaps over Sidus Unite, who is just emerging around the final corner now. Here he comes. Get your stopwatches out. Across the line with a flourish. 32 seconds behind.
Well, it was absolutely exceptional for Fatal. He got the gift of cars clanging into each other behind him, and by the 5th lap he was nearly 8 seconds clear, if I recall. But yeah, we have to watch everyone else in the dust of Fatal getting their points for their work. From Antonio in 3rd, Goshki in 4th, Donny, Arska, Koivunen, Naloi Luka, Dehamuli are the drivers in 3rd down to 9th, and then we're waiting for 10th place. Is that Rony, I believe? Yes, yep. Rony for 10th.
Yeah, I mean, goodness knows what's going to happen in post between Antonio and Goshki, but Goshki being pit maneuvered by Antonio on the final lap. But yeah, Goshki can be upset about that. Antonio, well, it's not sporting, is it? But you know, we do love a bit of drama here in the commentary box. A few more finishes coming across the line. P11 will go to Lorenzo for race green. In his fight, he couldn't quite make it into the top 10, quite a way back in the end. And who are we waiting for? A couple more cars still out on the circuit. Meanwhile, Fatal has driven himself up onto the victory lane and is waiting for everybody else to come and pay homage to him, by the looks of it.
So, very easy podium to find, thankfully, for Fatal. No worries about running out of fuel or any such thing to be able to track it down. Yeah, there we go. Dunleek 12th there with Lorenzo just in front, and then Michael in 13th. Then
across the line,
Strutter, so that's Sweeney in 14th.
Yeah. One more car to come is Jari Katila for World Class Lines. Haven't seen much of him today. At the back of the grid, there we go. Our final finishers are classified. Jari Katila P15, Strutter 16, Redbot 17, and Annihilator P18, as you said, Owen. And I think that is everybody. So let's get a full rundown of our finishers. Owen, take it away.
Yeah, so Fatal absolutely storming to victory there. Made mincemeat of everyone else today. He'll be ecstatic with that, increasing his championship lead even more, heading into the final 2 rounds of 2022. But of course, Unite with that magical overcut, getting 2nd place away from the defensive rock of Antonio. Whether or not he and Goshki have put their differences aside there, we will probably see some probably handshakes there. Is probably all just in good fun. But yeah, so Antonio will get a little bit of a warning there for that pit maneuver. Goshki there, great comeback from several setbacks there in 4th. Donny from the back of the grid completes the top 5. Frustration for Arska and Koivunen there, 6th and 7th. They will feel like they could have done a lot better. Naloi Luka, another driver that will be looked at for future just in case of more incidents. But yeah, good drive there in 8th. Dehemuli, who is teammates with Miika there, very good drive for 9th. Rony unfortunately had a few mistakes there, but will be pleased with the top 10. Then Lorenzo, Dunleek, Michael, Soini, and Yargtila on the lead lap. Strutter and Redbot were 1 lap down. Denialator was the final classified car, 2 laps down. The retirements were Miss Meatsas and Lurcy in 19th and 20th.
Yeah, and I think we might have one more driver on our final page, and it is Any333, who rejoined a couple of times and is classified 27 laps down. Good effort to join the race and try and get as far through it as possible. Unite dips below the 2 minutes 52 barrier to set the fastest lap of 0.99 there, so absolutely fire pace at the end, but not enough to dethrone Fatal today, the true hero of the race. 32-second gap at the front, that is insurmountable. One of the largest gaps ever, surely, in an RTFR XL race by the time the race finished. So good effort from everyone who finished this one. It was entertaining. It was a long race, but there was action all the time.
Yeah, we were definitely blessed with just consistent action. From the top to certainly the drivers also just trying to get a good placement. And I was very happy to be here, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well.
What a race! There was quite a lot of stuff happening, and more and less good and fun finishes. But it was a pleasure to watch and commentate on this race. It was a really good combo to follow.
Yeah, challenge for everybody, and a joy to commentate over. If you enjoyed it, well, Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large will return to your screens at the beginning of next month, the beginning of November, for round 11 of the 2022 calendar. There it is. Just 2 to go. The November and December rounds of the championship will be on your screens on November 2nd and December 14th. If you want to see more LFS action, then you don't have to wait long, because on your screens on Thursday, we will be covering the 40th round of Fragmaster's GTI Thursday series. And on, in fact, next Tuesday, we'll see the return of Rony's Tuesday Fun Race, Season 2, Round number 5 at Rockingham Extended ISSC RGE, a custom configuration made by Rony in the XRT, so one of the stock LFS cars at a very much non-stock custom layout at Rockingham. We hope to see you in a week's time for that. Eoin, Miika, Chris, in our ears, as ever, thank you very much for your efforts in the commentary booth and putting the production together. And of course, to our viewers for tuning in. If you like the stream, please consider liking, following, subscribing, doing all that stuff. We really appreciate your support. And of course, thanks to our drivers in this race today. Without them, we couldn't stream it. Without Rony, we couldn't stream it either, because there would be no event. And thanks to World Class Lions for sponsoring the Rony's Tuesday Fun Race series in 2022. Once again, very generous sponsorship indeed. That's all from us. It was a really, really nice race tonight. I enjoyed it a lot, and I hope you did too. Hope to see you at the next one. Take it easy. Have a good rest of your evenings. See you at the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.